Hello everyone, I hope you're well. So today I would like to just take a little bit of time to talk to you about what it's like to live in different types of accommodation, because it's my third year here in Swansea and I have been lucky enough to live in a variety of accommodation. So first year I lived in student halls on Bay campus, absolutely loved it. In second year I lived in a student house in Mount Pleasant. It wasn't my best experience, but obviously we'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. And finally this year I am actually living out of Swansea and commuting in. So I have a family friend who lives in a house that has a house in a village about half an hour away from Swansea, which she only lives in at the weekends because she works back where I live. So she's got a spare room, so I'm renting from her even when she is here. So I've just got a nice little room here in a nice little village about half an hour from Swansea. So first of all, I'd like to talk to you about actually living in these different places, because I think that's quite an important thing. You spend quite a lot of your time at the house, so definitely an important thing to think about when trying to work out where you're going to live when you come to Swansea, whether it's your first year, second year, third year, masters, PhD, whatever. I think it is important to choose where you live carefully. So first of all, in my first year I lived in halls on Bay campus, as I previously said. I genuinely loved it down there. I know it has quite a lot of stick for being further away from Singleton, where quite a lot of the courses are at the moment, but obviously everything's moving down there. But also because it's the engineering schools down there, there's quite a lot of stick of like, oh, it's all boys. It's not. In my building, we had at least one flat that was all girls. My flat was mixed, 4 boys and 3 girls. So yeah, I didn't get that vibe at all. I loved it down there, and I actually genuinely think that might be my favourite place to have lived in all 3 years. I have so many good memories from down there. So basically I just loved it because I was coming away from home. It can be quite daunting, but you've got to remember that when you're down there, you're surrounded by people that are all experiencing the same thing. So for me, that was really good because I could then bond with people who were sharing the same experience and we could go through it together. So I loved that. But whilst you were surrounded by people, you could also have your own space. So on Bay, all of the rooms are ensuite. So you always have your ensuite there, which is great. So it meant that I wasn't going into a house with people I didn't know, sharing bathrooms, not knowing people's bathroom habits, blah, blah, blah. That for me was nice because I had my own space, but obviously I still managed to socialise a lot. You've got a massive kitchen, huge kitchen. So we had 7 of us in our flat, and quite often we'd go into the kitchen and there'd be people in there, so we'd just socialise in there quite a lot. So I definitely enjoyed that, and also because everything was new and it was clean, and we rarely had any issues actually. So I loved that because for me it was like it took the stress off. Wasn't worrying about where I was living. I could just worry about moving in and settling down, rather than worrying about whether the fridge was going to break or anything like that. I think we did have 1 or 2 issues, particularly I think our fridge blew the fuse at one point, so we had to get maintenance up for that. Or a couple of people locked themselves out of their rooms, so that was always amusing, especially when one of my flatmates decided to do it on Halloween when he was dressed up as a cheerleader. Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, very few issues, loved it down there. In second year, my student housing wasn't the best experience. I mean, it was still worth it. I still had a great year. I didn't hate the year at all. I actually quite enjoyed second year, but I definitely could have chosen a better house. So me and 2 of my friends went into a student house out in the town centre, and I believe that we had a worse experience than most people. A lot of the people that I spoke to during the year said that they were experiencing nothing like we were. But like there was apparently the letting agents had cleaned the house twice, and a third time at our request, but there was still mould on the sofas and that. Like, we got in and my mum had to wipe down the sofa so that we could even have lunch when we arrived. Grim. But we had other experiences. We had rats in the roofs, we had pest control round because they couldn't work out how the rats were getting in because the house that we had was built into a hill. So we had pest control round putting rat poison down, just scuttling above our heads. It was cold all the time. Like, the heating was so bizarre. If we turned it up too much, it would sound like gunshots were going off. Not pleasant, especially at about 3 o'clock in the morning when it goes off very regularly. But also like my friend's room, one of my housemates' rooms would absolutely overheat and mine wouldn't heat up at all. So my room was constantly freezing and her room was constantly boiling, which wasn't ideal. We also had issues with, like, my room was built like this. So my dad actually had to make blocks to put under my bed because I kept falling out of it. Interesting. And the final thing, this was the major issue for us. My friend was making a cup of tea in the kitchen one night and light exploded above her head. So we had no light in there for 2 weeks because the maintenance guys took ages to do anything. And she also had a plant growing out of her wall, actually. So yeah, we didn't have the best student house. I definitely think there are some out there. Like this year, some of my friends have got a really nice house. It's been newly refurbed, it's clean, it is really nice. So I know that we just didn't choose very well. So I definitely say look out for signs when you're living there. Like when you're looking to live somewhere, definitely look out for the signs. So moving on to my third year. So this year I live in a house, as I said, about half an hour from Swansea. It was built about 2 years ago, so everything is so nice and so clean, and it's quiet up here as well. So for me that's really nice because in my third year it means I can, if I've got work to do, I can knuckle down and just get it done. The village is very cute, so I can go for a stroll through the village if I want to. So yeah, it's nice, and like I have my own space again. So I feel like I'm back in Bay again with like my own space, just a lot more of it. So yeah, it's lovely out here. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the commuting from the different places, because obviously that's quite an important factor when you're choosing where to live. For me, I don't mind a commute, but sometimes it's a little bit of an issue. Especially like some people would much prefer to get up at like 8:50 for a 9 o'clock lecture, for example. So halls, first of all, I lived on Bay campus but I studied on Singleton, so for me I had to commute across. So first bus are great and work with the uni to do these year-long bus passes. So I think mine was, in first year it was about £310 for the year. I think it might have gone up a little bit now, but that covers all transport on the 8, the 10, the 4 and the 4A, which are like the main buses that go between the uni campuses, train station, and yeah, town centre, some of them as well. So that was great because it meant I could get where I needed to. I mean, the buses in my first year weren't as they stopped overnight. Sometimes I think a student night, Saturday night, they went till like 2 in the morning, but now they're 24 hours, which is a lot better because it means that those people that are living on Bay now can just use the bus rather than getting a taxi, because taxi from town to Bay is like £10, I think. Second of all, my student house in town, it was quite centrally located, which was quite nice. Like I could walk into town in about 5-10 minutes. I could walk to uni in about 40 minutes. Wouldn't have walked to Bay, but I did get the bus to Bay a couple of times to go to the library, just because it's a bit quieter down there. But and also because a lot of Swansea Centre you can get parking permits, or like some days parking is free. So occasionally I had my car there, but only really occasionally, like if I knew I was going back for like a couple of days or something and I needed to get home again quickly, you know. So like after nights out, we only really got a taxi if it was really cold or raining, because I could literally walk back to my house in about 2 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. So yeah, it was I thought the location of the house was lovely in terms of where I was getting, because more often than not I would get a bus into uni during the winter, but in the summer I chose to walk in quite a few times, which wasn't too bad. Like I said, 40-minute walk. And then this year, obviously, I'm a bit far out to walk, so I do have my car here, which is quite nice because I've got a driveway so I can park on it, and then I just drive in when I go to uni. There is a bus that goes from my village into Swansea, but it takes about an hour and a half. It's not the most regular, so I mean, obviously it's there if I need it, like if there's an emergency and I can't use my car. But yeah, so it's all right actually. Rush hours are a bit of an issue for me. I don't really have that many rush hour lectures. I think my earliest lecture last semester was 10 o'clock, but it meant that I would leave at 8 and try and find the back route. Like I would set my sat nav to the fastest route to try and get in, and there was one occasion where I left at 8 and got in bang on 10. Parking as well is a bit of an issue. There are car parks that you can pay. You can't park on campus unless you pay for a permit, which I haven't done. So during school, like during the uni days, I can't park on there. I think weekends and evenings you can, but I normally just park at my friend's house, and it's like a 10-minute walk from there into uni. So I still walk in a little bit, get some steps up, you know, as you do. But yeah, so commutes are a bit of an issue, and like especially like now we're in the middle of exam season. Both my exams are 9:30 exams, so you have to be there for 9. So I obviously really didn't want to get caught up with traffic. So what I do at the moment is, if I've got an exam or if I want to get into the library early, I leave at about 6:30, completely skip all of the traffic, get in, there's plenty of parking by my friend's house, and then I'm there. I'm there from about 7, 7:30. By doing that, I skip all of the traffic out. Like I know it's early to go in, but then I can just get in and I can relax about the fact that I'm not stuck in traffic trying to get to my exams. So that is the one thing about living further away. Getting in for exams isn't the easiest, but I would say it's doable. And like for me, the commute's nothing. I put my radio on, I have a concert in my car, so living my best life, you know. So the last thing I just want to talk about is obviously the socialising aspect of living in different places. So like in halls, it's a very social place because you've got people around you all the time. You walk out your door, there's people in the kitchen, there's people walking around campus, like it's so nice. But like obviously, like I said, you still get your quiet time where you can just go into your own room. So like I bought a TV license for my room, but nobody else in my flat did. So my room was kind of like the TV social room. So when there was like, when Bake Off was on, when Eurovision was on, things like that, we'd all gather in my room, get some food, and just like relax in my room. So that was quite nice. But also there's easy access to town. Like I said, we just did taxis, which were about tenner at the time. I think they're probably still about that much, I'm not really sure. But like now they've got the buses that run all night, so easy enough to get back to Bay from town or from Singleton campus where you've got the student bar and stuff like that. So yeah, I quite enjoyed that. Very social. And like when we came back, because you've got the beach, if we didn't want the night to end just then, but we didn't want to carry on like getting het up, we'd go and we just sit on the beach and just relax under the stars. Like my friend went at like 4 o'clock in the morning and saw some shooting stars or something. So yeah, really nice social place. Like bonfire night we spent on the beach, that sort of thing. Like it being on campus is really nice to socialise because you're meeting everybody else who wants to socialise, and if you don't want to socialise, you've got your quiet space. In student housing, I lived with 2 of my best friends, so for me the socialising was what made the whole second year experience better, because obviously we had a pretty awful house, but it was close to town, so we could go in for nights out, we could go to the bars, we could go for lunches. Like we spent quite a lot of time trying out different restaurants in second year because we were close and we just wanted to experience it. But like living with my friends, so like we'd get in and I'd pop in and say hi in the morning and I'd leave about 4 hours later because just because we could. Like, we lived together, we cooked, you know, it was great. And it was easy enough to get to other student houses, because a lot of student houses are located quite near each other, or like a 10-minute walk, or, you know, it wasn't too far. And obviously this year I am living further away, which does make socialising a little bit more difficult. But like I said, I've got my car, I can drive in whenever I want to. But also, like, if I want to go for a night out, it doesn't stop me. Like, some people, when I told them that I wasn't going to live in Swansea, they're like, but what about socialising, what about nights out? I said, I just stay at people's houses, because people don't mind that. Like, I have a friend who, even if she doesn't come out, if I want to go for a night out, she'll stay up and let me in. So I went to a different friend's 21st, like from like one of my societies, from the dance society. And my course mate said, oh, just let me know when you're coming back and I'll let you in. So I kind of do that, alternate through different people's houses a couple of times, so I'm not always being a burden on one person. But if people are telling you you can stay, it's okay, because they'd rather have you there for a night out than for you to just miss out completely. So that's everything I want to talk about today, about living in student houses, or living away from houses, like living away from Swansea and commuting, or living in halls. But like I said, when you're choosing where to live, whether you're coming into your first year, second year, third year, master's, PhD, whatever, it is an important choice, and there are different things that you have to add up. Like, for me, certain things were important and certain things weren't as important, but I found that all 3 years have been doable, even though I didn't have the best second year house. I wouldn't say my year was ruined by it. I mean, I definitely could have chosen a better second year house, but, you know, there are other things that are more important, like being with your friends and being able to socialise and stuff like that. So, and like, even this year, the fact that I'm not socialising all the time, I can still socialise when I want to. So yeah, definitely good to think about. So I'll see you next time. Thank you.